Every person dreams of freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, emotional freedom. But the truth most people never face is this: freedom doesn't come from your job, paycheck, or your position. It comes from your mindset. You can work 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, and still stay broke inside if your mind hasn't learned how to think like a creator. Because success isn't built by hands first, it's built by thoughts. Everything you see, the businesses, the inventions, the wealth, the opportunities, all of it began in the mind of someone who refused to think average. Your earning power doesn't come from what you do, it comes from how you think. Two people can work in the same office, do the same job, and live completely different lives. One struggles to survive, the other finds a way to grow. The difference isn't skill, it's mindset. The first sees work as an obligation, the second sees it as an opportunity. The first focuses on hours, the second focuses on value. One waits to be told what to do, the other learns how to think beyond the task. That's the power of mindset. It decides whether you stay where you are or rise above it. If your thoughts are small, your life will be small. If you think in limits, you'll live in limits. But if you train your mind to see possibility where others see problems, you'll start to open doors that no one else even notices. The real wealth in life doesn't come from what you have. It comes from what you understand. And when you understand how powerful your thoughts are, you stop wasting them on doubt, fear, and excuses. Most people live their entire lives waiting for change, not realizing that change only begins when the mind does. You can't earn like a leader while thinking like a follower. You can't attract opportunity while believing you're unworthy of it. The world doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you believe you deserve. And when your beliefs expand, your entire reality expands with them. The moment you start working harder on your thoughts than on your comfort, your life starts to move forward. You stop chasing money and start attracting it. You stop looking for shortcuts and start building systems. You stop needing motivation and start living with discipline. That's what happens when you develop the right mindset. It rewires how you approach everything. Your earning power will always follow your thinking power. The richer your mind becomes, the richer your life becomes. A person with a wealthy mindset can lose everything and rebuild it again because they understand value, patience, and growth. But a person with a poor mindset can win the lottery and still lose it. All because they never learned how to think beyond the moment. Every success story you admire began with a mental transformation. Before they built empires, they built discipline. Before they earned millions, they earned control over their mind. Before they inspired the world, they inspired themselves to believe they could. That's where your power lives. Not in your job, not in your title, but in your ability to think differently. If you want to earn more, you have to grow more. If you want to grow more, you have to think better. And if you want to think better, you have to take charge of what enters your mind every single day. The thoughts you repeat become your beliefs become your habits, and your habits become your results. Change the first, and you automatically change the rest. The world doesn't pay you for your time, it pays you for the value you create. And the value you create depends on how much you've developed yourself. Your job may give you a living, but your mindset will give you a fortune. Work on the mind, and everything else will begin to work for you. Because the truth is simple, your earning power will never exceed your thinking power. Part 1. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Every person who truly changes their life eventually discovers this one truth: your job will make you a living, but working on yourself will make you a fortune. Most people spend years giving all their time, energy, and focus to their job, but very little to their own growth. They wake up, go to work, come home tired, and repeat the same routine. believing that one day the company or their boss will reward them with success. But life doesn't work that way. Success doesn't come from waiting. It comes from developing yourself beyond the work you do. The more valuable you become as a person, the more opportunities you attract. Growth is not something your company can give you. It's something you give to yourself every single day. There is a difference between working hard and working smart. Working hard means putting in hours. Working smart means improving the person who's putting in those hours. If you spend all your effort building your job and none on building yourself, you will always depend on someone else's system for your success. The job can pay your bills, but it can't shape your character. The job can give you experience, but personal growth gives you wisdom. Growth builds your vision, your communication, your confidence, your habits, your mindset, and your discipline. The things that separate those who simply survive from those who lead, inspire, and achieve. When you start investing in yourself, in your health, your mindset, your education, your relationships, your discipline, everything begins to change. You think clearer, you make better choices, you start to notice new possibilities. You stop settling for less because your standards rise with your self-worth. You begin to understand that the greatest project you'll ever work on is not the company you work for, but the person you're becoming. Every book you read, every new skill you practice, every goal you set and achieve adds another layer of strength and intelligence to your foundation. You'll notice that people who grow constantly are never stuck for long. They outgrow their problems. They adapt, they evolve, and they move forward while others complain. The truth is, your job doesn't determine your income. Your personal development does. When you increase your value, life naturally rewards you in new ways. You get noticed for your ideas. You attract better opportunities. People begin to trust you with more responsibility because they see growth in your attitude and your results. There's a reason most people feel trapped in their jobs. It's because they wait for their employer to promote them instead of promoting themselves. They wait for someone else to give them permission to grow. But if you understand the power of self-improvement, you stop waiting. You start creating. You start using your evenings to learn. You start using your mornings to plan. You stop wasting your weekends and use them to build skills that will move you forward. Every hour you spend developing yourself compounds over time. 5 years from now, the person who spent time learning, improving, and building new skills will be unrecognizable, and so will their life. Personal growth is not about money first. It's about control. The more you grow, the more control you gain over your future. When you become wiser, more disciplined, and more capable, you no longer fear losing your job because you know how to create value anywhere. The fear disappears when your confidence comes from your growth, not your paycheck. That's the real security. True freedom is knowing that you can walk away from anything that doesn't align with your values because you've built yourself strong enough to stand on your own. Many people believe that working harder at their job will fix everything. But you can work hard at the wrong thing for years and still stay in the same place. The question is not just how hard are you working, but how much are you improving? Hard work without personal growth leads to exhaustion. Growth without direction leads to confusion. But when you combine both discipline at work and dedication to personal improvement, your success becomes unstoppable. You become sharper, more capable, and more aware of your own potential. You have to remember, the world doesn't pay you for your time. It pays you for the value you bring during that time. And that value depends entirely on who you are and what you've developed within yourself. A person who grows in knowledge, skill, and attitude will always rise above someone who only grows in years of experience. Experience is good, but improvement is better. You can have 10 years of experience or 1 year repeated 10 times. Growth is what makes the difference between those two lives. If you ever feel stuck in your job, it's not the job that's holding you back. It's your current level of growth. When you feel like there's no opportunity, it's a signal that you need to learn more, think differently, or add new skills to your toolbox. The moment you start improving yourself, doors begin to open that you didn't even know existed. You see opportunities where others see obstacles. You attract people who align with your goals. You stop chasing results and start creating them. Every successful person has one thing in common. They made personal growth their highest priority. They studied success. They read about leadership. They learned communication. They practiced discipline. They took the time to understand themselves. While others were focused on earning a living, they were focused on building a life. That's what separates the ordinary from the exceptional. If you work hard on your job, you can make a good living. But if you work hard on yourself, you can build a great life. Your job may one day end, but who you become in the process will stay with you forever. The goal is not just to make money, but to become the kind of person who can create it, sustain it, and use it wisely. You're not just working for a company, you're working for your own future. You're building something inside you that can't be taken away. Knowledge, character, and strength. Every day is a chance to build yourself a little more, to read something valuable, to think about your goals, to practice self-discipline, to improve your habits, to strengthen your mindset. The time you invest in your growth will always pay you back many times over. Your job gives you experience, but your growth gives you freedom. The stronger you become inside, the less you'll depend on outside circumstances to define your success. That's when you know you're not just surviving. You're leading your life with purpose, confidence, and power. Part 2, skills make you valuable, not job titles. Job titles. Most people spend their whole lives chasing titles, but titles don't make you valuable. Skills do. A title might look impressive on paper, but it's your ability to solve problems, create results, and bring value to others that makes you truly irreplaceable. The world doesn't reward you for what's written on your business card. It rewards you for what you can do, for what you can contribute, for what you bring to the table when challenges arise. Titles may open doors, but only skill keeps those doors open. If your position were taken away tomorrow, could your skill set keep you afloat? That's the question that separates the secure from the fearful. Job titles come and go. Companies change, industries evolve, technology replaces old systems, but your skills, your intelligence, and your discipline go wherever you go. That's why developing yourself must always come before depending on a position. When you're skilled, you're never afraid of losing something temporary because you've built something permanent within yourself. Think about how the world is changing. The job you have today may not exist in 10 years, but the ability to learn, adapt, and apply new knowledge will always have value. That's why the people who keep growing never fall behind. They know that success doesn't come from having a fancy title. It comes from being the person others can count on to make things happen. When you have strong skills, opportunities chase you. You don't have to chase them. You become the person people want to hire, work with, and follow, because your results speak louder than any title ever could. The difference between someone who struggles for years and someone who rises fast often comes down to this. One depends on the label. The other depends on their ability. One says, I'm a manager. The other says, I know how to lead people. One says, I'm an accountant. The other says, I know how to help businesses grow through financial clarity. When you remove the title and focus on what you can do, you realize that your power has nothing to do with your job description. It's in the strength of your skills and the depth of your understanding. Every skill you learn adds another layer of confidence. Every time you practice a new ability, you increase your value. Think about communication. If you know how to communicate clearly, you can connect with anyone. Think about problem solving. If you know how to think critically, you can handle pressure with calm and direction. Think about leadership. If you know how to influence and guide others, you'll always be in demand. Each skill you build is like adding another tool to your toolbox, giving you more ways to create value in any environment. People often make the mistake of believing that time in a job automatically makes them better. It doesn't. Only growth does. 10 years of experience doing the same thing without improvement doesn't make you an expert. It makes you comfortable. Real progress happens when you push yourself beyond the routine. When you learn new systems, when you take feedback seriously, when you look for ways to become faster, sharper, and more effective than you were yesterday. That's how you rise, not by waiting for someone to notice you, but by becoming too good to be ignored. The truth is, a title can't save you when performance is required. When things get tough, companies look for results, not positions. The person who can handle challenges, innovate, and make things work under pressure is the one who becomes indispensable. Titles can create status, but skills create survival. Skills make you valuable anywhere, in business, in relationships, in life. Because once you have competence, you carry power with you. You can walk into any situation and contribute value. That's how you become confident, independent, and respected. Think about those who earn more, achieve more, and grow faster. It's not because they had better luck, it's because they kept sharpening themselves. They learned new technologies when others stayed comfortable. They improved their communication while others complained about being misunderstood. They studied success while others scrolled through distractions. Skills separate the dreamers from the doers. Skills turn ambition into achievement. When you focus on developing skills, you stop waiting for permission to grow. You start building your own path. You no longer depend on your company to provide you with opportunity because you know how to create it. You can take your talents anywhere, across industries, across borders, because value is universal. Every person who invests in skill becomes recession-proof. While others panic about uncertainty, you stand strong because your ability has built its own security. You have to see yourself as a builder of value, not a holder of titles. Every day, ask yourself, what skill can I improve today? Maybe it's learning how to sell an idea. Maybe it's improving how you manage time. Maybe it's studying how to lead others with integrity. Each improvement. Within a few years, you'll notice something incredible. You'll start attracting better jobs, better clients, better opportunities. Not because your title changed, but because you changed. The greatest investment you can make is in becoming skilled, capable, and valuable. When you have that, you'll never worry about losing a position because you'll know how to create new ones. You'll never fear rejection because your worth won't depend on someone's approval. Skills give you confidence, power, and independence. They give you control over your destiny. Titles fade, but skills endure. And when you understand that, you'll never waste time chasing labels again. You'll focus on mastering the abilities that make you unstoppable. Part 3. Your mindset determines your earning power. Your mindset determines your earning power. Not your degree, not your background, not the neighborhood you grew up in, not even the people you know. It all starts and ends with how you think, the thoughts you allow, the beliefs you hold, and the standards you set for yourself create the ceiling for your income and the foundation for your success. Two people can have the same job, same education, Same opportunity, yet one becomes a leader while the other remains stuck. The difference isn't luck, it's mindset. When you believe that your time is valuable, you use it differently. When you believe you can grow, you invest in learning instead of complaining. When you believe in abundance, you start seeing opportunities that others ignore. That's how mindset quietly turns into earning power. Because wealth isn't built with quick money, it's built with consistent habits that come from a strong inner attitude. Think about the people who rise in every field. They all have one thing in common. They see themselves as capable of more. Before they ever had the money, they carried the mindset of someone who deserved more. They walked like it, they spoke like it, they treated their work like it mattered. That kind of energy changes how people see you. It changes how opportunities find you. You can have talent, but if you doubt yourself, you'll never take the risks that lead to growth. You can have ideas, but if you think small, you'll never build something big. You can have a stable job, but if your mindset is about surviving instead of expanding, you'll never experience true financial freedom. The truth is, your outer world reflects your inner world. If your thoughts are limited, your income will be too. Start by looking at your beliefs about money. Do you think making money is hard? Do you think success is only for a few people? Do you feel guilty about wanting more? These thoughts shape your reality more than you realize. A limited belief will keep you working harder instead of smarter. A strong belief, however, will open doors where others only see walls. You see, the mind is like soil. If you plant seeds of fear, you'll harvest hesitation. If you plant seeds of doubt, you'll grow insecurity. But if you plant seeds of growth, abundance, and discipline, your life will produce confidence, opportunity, and income. Every wealthy person you admire began with a mental shift. They stopped thinking like employees and started thinking like owners. They stopped focusing on what they lacked and started focusing on what they could build. Money follows value, and value comes from mindset. When you train your mind to solve problems instead of complain about them, you become more valuable to people, to companies, and to the marketplace. The more problems you can solve, the more you'll earn. The stronger your mindset, the more creative you'll become at finding ways to grow. If your mindset says, I can only earn what I'm paid, you'll stay trapped in that system forever. But if your mindset says, I can create, I can multiply, I can add value, you'll start finding ways to generate income beyond your salary. That's how entrepreneurs think. That's how investors think. That's how wealth is built. Not through luck, but through perspective. A powerful mindset doesn't mean being positive all the time. It means being grounded in reality, but choosing to respond with strength instead of fear. It means not letting circumstances decide your limits. When things go wrong, a weak mindset looks for excuses. A strong one looks for lessons. When opportunities appear, a weak mindset hesitates. A strong one takes action. Over time, that difference creates entirely different lives. You can start transforming your earning power by training your thoughts daily. Begin your morning by feeding your mind with ideas that expand your perspective. Read books that challenge you. Listen to people who have achieved what you want. Study the patterns of those who grew from nothing. You'll notice their success always began with a mental decision. A refusal to think small anymore. Surround yourself with people who talk about growth, not gossip. Spend time with those who discuss building assets, not wasting weekends. Your environment reinforces your mindset, and your mindset defines your results. You can't think big if everyone around you thinks small. You can't aim high if everyone around you is comfortable with average. There's a moment in every person's journey when they realize the only real limitation is their belief system. You can upgrade your skills, your tools, and your strategies, but unless you upgrade your thinking, Your income won't change much. It's like trying to install new software on an old operating system. It just won't run properly. So train your mind like you train your body. Discipline your thoughts. Filter what you consume. Challenge every belief that keeps you stuck. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me grow or keeping me small? The more you master your thinking, the more control you gain over your financial life. Mindset is the real currency of success. Before you earn your first dollar of wealth, you have to earn the mindset that attracts it. Because wealth doesn't just go to the hardest worker. It goes to the most aware thinker. Your mindset is your earning power. Protect it, sharpen it, build it every day. When your inner world becomes strong, your outer world has no choice but to expand. Part 4. Invest time in learning every single day. Every single day is a new chance to build yourself stronger than you were yesterday. The most powerful investment a person can ever make isn't in stocks, real estate, or business. It's in their own mind. Because everything you achieve in life will rise or fall to the level of what you know, how you think, and what you understand. Learning is not something that ends with school. It's something that begins when you realize how much you don't know. The moment you stop learning, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you begin to lose the very edge that separates ordinary from exceptional. The difference between those who move forward and those who stay stuck is how they use their time. Most people fill their days with distractions, scrolling, gossiping, and chasing temporary pleasure. But those who rise, those who build something meaningful, use their time to feed their mind. They read, they listen, they study, they reflect. Every day, they plant seeds of knowledge that will later grow into wisdom, decisions, and wealth. That's why some people seem to always stay one step ahead. It's because they have built a habit of learning when others are just trying to get through the day. Learning every day doesn't mean sitting for hours in front of a book. It means being intentional about what you absorb. It means paying attention to lessons in your daily life. The way a leader handles pressure, the way a business grows, the way a mistake turns into insight. Every day gives you a chance to learn something if you are awake enough to notice it. The key is to stay curious. A curious mind never stops growing. It questions, explores, and keeps searching for better ways to live, work, and think. You see, most people think they don't have time to learn because they're too busy working. But the truth is, they stay busy because they don't learn how to work smarter. Every minute you invest in learning saves you hours of wasted effort. Later, reading a good book can change the way you see your career. Listening to an insightful talk can give you a new direction. Reflecting on your day can reveal mistakes you've been repeating for years. Learning sharpens your mind the way exercise sharpens your body. It keeps you alert, capable, and ready for opportunity when it appears. The world changes fast. What worked 5 years ago may not work today. New technology, new systems, new skills, everything evolves. If you're not learning, you're falling behind. Even if you think you're standing still, the marketplace doesn't reward comfort, it rewards growth. And growth only comes from a mind that's constantly being stretched, challenged, and refreshed. Every new idea you learn adds another layer to your potential. Every skill you develop gives you more power to create, lead, and earn. The best investment of your time is the one that compounds, like knowledge. When you read 1 hour a day for a year, you gain hundreds of hours of perspective, stories, lessons, and strategies. It doesn't just make you smarter, it makes you wiser, calmer, and more confident. Because learning doesn't just change what you know, it changes how you see yourself. It builds self-respect. You start walking with more certainty because you're no longer guessing your way through life. You're building your path with understanding. And here's something people often overlook. Learning isn't just about gathering new information. It's about applying what you've learned You can read every book in the world, but if you don't practice what you've learned, it remains unused. Knowledge is only power when it's applied. The real growth happens when you use what you know to make better decisions, build better habits, and create better results. A person who learns something new today and uses it tomorrow is already far ahead of those who only dream about success. The most successful people in the world are lifelong students. They study not because they have to, but because they understand it's the only way to stay sharp. They learn from everyone, from books, failures, mentors, and even their competitors. They understand that every situation carries a lesson, and every person can teach them something if they listen closely enough. This kind of humility keeps them open-minded, adaptable, and constantly improving. They never assume they know enough because they understand that mastery is never final. It's an ongoing journey. The greatest minds in history all shared one common habit. They were obsessed with learning. They woke up with a hunger to know more, to understand more, to become more. That's what made them leaders, innovators, and visionaries. And the same principle applies today. If you spend each day learning just a little bit, your future will look completely different in a few years. You'll think differently, you'll earn differently, you'll live differently. When you invest your time in learning, you're shaping your destiny quietly. You're building strength that no one can see yet, but one day everyone will notice because knowledge always shows. It shows in how you speak, how you think, how you solve problems, and how you carry yourself. A person who learns daily walks with a calm kind of power. They don't chase opportunity. It finds them because the world always opens doors for the prepared mind. So make learning a daily ritual, not an occasional task. Treat every day as a chance to grow wiser, sharper, and stronger. Replace an hour of entertainment with education. Replace complaints with curiosity. Replace mindless scrolling with mindful study. Over time, you'll notice something incredible. Your life starts to align with your growth. The more you learn, the more confident you become. The more confident you become, the more capable you feel. And the more capable you feel, the more you achieve. That's how growth works. Quietly, steadily, and powerfully. It begins with a single decision to invest time in yourself every day. No one will see your effort at first, but soon everyone will see your transformation. And when they ask how you did it, you'll know the answer. It all started when you chose to learn something new every single day. Part 5. Read, reflect, and rebuild yourself constantly. There comes a point in life when you realize that staying the same costs more than changing. The habits, thoughts, and beliefs that once served you start to hold you back. And that's when growth begins, not in the comfort of knowing, but in the humility of learning. Again, to grow, you must read, reflect, and rebuild yourself constantly. You can't expect to live a new life with an old mindset. You have to keep refining who you are, what you believe, and how you show up every single day. Reading feeds your mind in a way nothing else can. It's one of the simplest but most powerful tools for transformation. Every page you read gives you a new way to think, a new angle to see the world from. A good book can shake your entire perspective, make you question old habits, and inspire you to live better. Reading opens doors that reality sometimes keeps closed. When you read, you borrow the wisdom of those who've lived before you. You learn from their mistakes without paying the price yourself. You gain ideas that can completely redirect your life. Ideas that can make you more confident, more capable, and more prepared for opportunity. But reading alone isn't enough. You have to reflect. Reflection turns information into wisdom. Most people move so fast that they never stop to think about why they do what they do. They repeat the same days, the same choices, the same reactions, and wonder why nothing changes. Reflections is where you pause and ask yourself, what did I learn from today? What worked? What didn't? What do I need to do differently? It's not about guilt or judgment. It's about awareness, because awareness is power. When you start paying attention to your patterns, you begin to see where your life is stuck. And when you see clearly, you can finally make changes that matter. Rebuilding yourself is the result of reading and reflecting. It means you take what you've learned and apply it. You don't stay attached to your old ways just because they're familiar. You evolve. You redesign your habits. You update your beliefs. You rebuild your mindset around growth instead of comfort. Every time you rebuild, you shed a weaker version of yourself and step into a stronger one. And you have to do this constantly because life never stops changing. The person you were last year isn't enough for who you want to be next year. Growth requires you to rebuild yourself again and again. This process isn't easy. It takes humility to admit you don't know everything. It takes courage to break away from your old thinking. But every time you choose to grow, you make a silent promise to your future self. A promise to never settle, to never stop improving, and to never stop becoming. That's what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck. The people who keep winning are the ones who keep learning, reflecting, and rebuilding long after everyone else has become comfortable. Reading also helps you surround yourself with better influences, even when you're alone. You might not have mentors in your immediate circle, but books can give you access to the greatest minds who ever lived. When you read, you get to think like a philosopher, plan like a strategist, and dream like an inventor. You begin to realize that your environment doesn't limit you, your curiosity does. The more you feed your mind, the more creative and adaptable you become. And in today's world, adaptability is power. Reflection then deepens that power. It helps you connect the dots between what you know and what you do. It teaches you to slow down and understand yourself, because success isn't just about speed, it's about direction. You can be moving fast, but if you're going the wrong way, you're only getting lost quicker. Reflection is the moment where you pause and make sure you're heading toward the life you actually want. It's the habit that turns random effort into deliberate growth. And rebuilding yourself, well, that's the art of self-respect. It's saying, I refuse to stay the same when I can become better. You rebuild your habits, your goals, your routines, and even your circle. You make choices that align with who you're becoming, not who you were. You start treating your life like a work in progress instead of a finished story. Because the truth is, no one ever arrives. You just keep growing, adjusting, and improving. And that's what keeps life exciting. Think about it this way. If you stopped updating your phone for years, it would eventually stop working. It would freeze, slow down, and struggle to handle new systems. The same happens to your mind when you stop reading and reflecting. It gets outdated. You start thinking in old ways that no longer match the world around you. But when you keep learning, you keep updating your inner software. You stay relevant, confident, and mentally sharp. Some people think personal growth means making big, dramatic changes. But most of the time, it's quiet. It's you sitting alone with a book, learning something new. It's you journaling at night, realizing a mistake you made, and deciding to do better. It's you letting go of an old belief that no longer serves you. Growth isn't loud, it's consistent. It's built in those private moments of self-improvement that no one else sees. When you make reading, reflection, and rebuilding a daily part of your life, everything changes. You stop blaming circumstances and start taking responsibility. You stop comparing yourself to others and start focusing on your own progress. You stop chasing perfection and start pursuing growth. You realize that life rewards those who are willing to keep upgrading themselves. Every book you read adds another brick to the foundation of your success. Every reflection helps you see your life with clearer eyes. Every rebuild brings you closer to your highest potential. Over time, all those small efforts add up to massive change. You begin to notice that you think better, act wiser, and respond to challenges with more strength. That's how transformation works. It's built one insight, one reflection, and one decision at a time. And if you keep reading, keep reflecting, and keep rebuilding, you'll never have to worry about falling behind. Because while others are chasing quick success, you'll be building lasting strength. While others are focused on what they can get, you'll be focused on who you can become. And in the end, that's what makes all the difference. Part 6, don't let a paycheck limit your potential. Here's the truth that most people never hear until it's too late. A paycheck is not a measure of your worth. It's a measure of how much someone else has decided your time is worth to them. And the moment you start believing that your value begins and ends with that number, you've handed away the steering wheel of your life. You've traded your infinite potential for a fixed price tag. But life doesn't reward those who settle for limits. It rewards those who expand beyond them. Think about it. Millions of people wake up every day, go to work, and come home feeling like they did everything right. Yet deep down, they know they're stuck. They've hit a ceiling. Why? Because somewhere along the way, they accepted the idea that their paycheck defines their potential. They stopped asking, what am I capable of? And started asking, what am I getting paid? And that's where the growth ends. Jim Rohn once said, work full-time on your job, but part-time on your fortune. That's one of the most powerful sentences ever spoken. Your job is what you're paid for, but your growth, your learning, your ideas, your creativity, that's what you're meant for. The paycheck keeps you alive, but your potential is what makes you truly alive. The paycheck buys your food, your potential builds your future. The paycheck pays your bills, your potential pays your dreams. So don't ever let your salary decide how far you go. Because the truth is, you could be paid millions and still be broke in your mind. Or you could earn very little, but be rich in potential because you're building something beyond the system. You're investing in yourself, learning skills that nobody can take away, developing a mindset that doesn't need permission to win. There's a hidden trap in modern life, comfort. Comfort makes you settle. It tells you you're doing fine. Why push harder? But that comfort comes at a price. It kills your hunger. And hunger is the fuel of success. The paycheck can make you comfortable enough to stop dreaming. But those who escape that trap are the ones who refuse to stop learning after work, who spend their evenings creating something of their own, who study while others scroll, who build skills while they waste time. You see, your real income is not the money that hits your bank account. It's the value you bring to the world. The more valuable you become, the more opportunities chase you. That's why it's not about asking for a raise. It's about raising yourself. If you raise your mindset, your value will rise automatically. If you raise your discipline, your results will multiply naturally. The question isn't how much am I getting paid, it's how much am I growing? It's because when you grow, your earning power grows with you. You start seeing beyond the paycheck. You start building assets, mental, emotional, financial, that compound over time. You start realizing that the biggest paycheck is not in your job. It's in your ability to create value from nothing. The richest people in the world didn't get there because they worked harder than everyone else. They got there because they stopped trading time for money and started trading ideas for value. They built things that paid them even while they slept. And that only happens when you believe your potential is bigger than any paycheck. So here's the challenge. Stop measuring your life by your salary and start measuring it by your progress. Stop working for money and start working for freedom, because money will follow value and value will follow growth. The paycheck might feed your family, but your potential will feed generations. The paycheck might end when you retire, but your potential, if developed, can keep producing long after you're gone. That's the power of building yourself beyond what's required. That's the mindset that turns ordinary workers into extraordinary creators. Every time you learn a new skill, every time you expand your knowledge, every time you challenge your limits, you're breaking free from that invisible chain that keeps most people average. You're telling the world, I'm not just an employee, I'm an investment. And once you see yourself that way, not as a worker, but as capital, as value, everything changes. You stop asking, how much will they pay me? And start asking, how much am I becoming? Because that's where true wealth begins. Not in the paycheck you earn, but in the person you become. Part 7, build skills that compound over time. There's a secret that separates those who just survive from those who rise. The ability to build skills that compound. Most people think success is about one big breakthrough, one big opportunity, or one lucky chance. But the truth is, success is built on layers of small, valuable skills that grow over time. Just like money compounds when you invest it wisely, skills compound when you practice them consistently. Think about it. The person you admire, the one who seems unstoppable, didn't get there overnight. They mastered the art of stacking skills. They learned one thing deeply, then built another skill on top of it, and then another. Over time, those skills connected, multiplied, and turned them into someone rare, someone valuable. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone who knows how to write well. That's one skill. But when that same person learns how to communicate persuasively, that writing becomes powerful. Then they learn marketing. Now their words don't just inspire, they sell. Add leadership, and now they can guide others. Combine that with emotional intelligence, and they can connect deeply. Suddenly, they're not just skilled, they're unstoppable, because their abilities don't add up, they multiply. This is the power of compounding skills. Every time you learn something new, it doesn't replace what you already know. It enhances it. Each skill you build becomes a force multiplier for the others. And the more diverse your skill set becomes, the more valuable you are, not just to others, but to yourself. The problem is, most people stop learning after school. They spend their entire adult life doing the same task, the same way, for the same pay. They think experience means repeating 1 year 20 times, but experience only matters when it comes with growth. Without new skills, time doesn't make you better, it just makes you older. So here's the rule. If you want to grow your income, grow your skill set, every skill is a seed. Plant enough of them, water them daily with discipline and curiosity, and soon you'll have a forest of opportunities. But if you stop learning, your garden dies. The world is changing faster than ever before. The skills that made you valuable yesterday may not keep you relevant tomorrow. That's why your greatest investment is not in stocks, crypto, or property. It's in yourself. Because when you invest in skills, you gain something that can never crash, never be stolen, and never lose value. Jim Rohn used to say, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." That's it. Don't wait for the world to become fair. Become more skilled, more adaptable, more capable. The better you get, the fewer limits you have. If you want to earn more, learn more. If you want to lead more, serve more. If you want to influence more, understand more. Because in the real world, your skill set is your leverage. It's what lets you move mountains when others can't even lift a stone. And here's the best part. Skills build confidence. Every time you master something new, your belief in yourself grows. You stop doubting and start doing. You stop saying, "I can't," and start saying, "I'll learn how." That's the mindset that turns average people into extraordinary performers. Let's be clear. Skill building isn't about collecting certificates or adding titles. It's about developing practical power. It's about learning how to think, how to solve problems, how to influence, how to create value out of thin air. That's real education, and that's what compounds. When you read books, take courses, observe successful people, or challenge yourself with new projects, you're adding another brick to your foundation. One day, those bricks form a structure so strong that no economic storm can knock it down. Think of Elon Musk. He didn't stop after learning physics. He learned engineering, business, management, and innovation. Or Steve Jobs, he didn't just study technology. He learned design, storytelling, and psychology. That's why their ideas changed the world. They built interconnected skills. Now imagine doing that in your own life. Imagine being so skilled that you never have to chase opportunities. They chase you. That's the result of years of compound growth. So here's your challenge. Every single day, dedicate time to learning something new. Read one chapter, watch one tutorial, practice one thing, have one meaningful conversation. One skill a year might not look like much, but 5 years from now, you'll be a completely different person. Because the compounding effect doesn't show up at first, but when it does, it explodes. Build skills that compound, because when your skills multiply, your income multiplies, your confidence multiplies, and your life multiplies. That's the secret to unstoppable growth. Not luck, not shortcuts, but stacked mastery. Part 8. Growth opens doors, money can't. There is a hard truth that most people never realize. You can have all the money in the world, all the gadgets, cars, and luxuries you want. But if you don't grow personally, those things will only take you so far. Money can buy comfort, money can buy convenience, but money alone can never open the doors that personal growth can. Real opportunities, real influence, real impact, these come from the person you become, not the paycheck in your bank account. Think about the people you admire most in life. The ones who seem to live with freedom and respect, who seem unstoppable. You know what they have in common? They didn't just focus on making money. They focused on building themselves. They invested in knowledge, skills, mindset, and character. That investment paid off in ways money never could. Because when you grow, doors start opening that money alone cannot unlock. It starts with understanding your value. If you remain the same person you were yesterday, you can't expect different opportunities to find you. But the moment you dedicate yourself to growth, learning, expanding, improving, suddenly doors begin to appear. Jobs that once seemed impossible become attainable. Relationships that once felt out of reach become real. You'll notice that people start coming to you with opportunities, not the other way around. That's the power of growth. When you focus on personal development, the world begins to see you differently. Your confidence grows. Your perspective shifts. Your decisions become clearer. People notice when someone is committed to improving themselves. They see the energy, the discipline, the consistency, and they naturally want to align with that person. That alignment opens doors that a larger bank account could never. Money is a tool. Growth is a magnet. When you combine the two, your life transforms. But it all begins with prioritizing growth over income. Stop chasing money and start chasing knowledge. Stop chasing titles and start chasing skills. Stop chasing validation and start chasing wisdom. That is the path to opportunities that money can't buy. Look around you. There are countless people working tirelessly for their paycheck, trading hours for money, believing that income is the measure of their value. Yet they remain stuck. They stay trapped in roles that limit them, in patterns that drain them, in cycles that never expand. That's because they prioritized income over growth. Growth always outlasts the paycheck. Growth always multiplies. Growth creates freedom, influence, and opportunity in ways money cannot. Here's the reality. When you commit to learning, improving, and expanding your mind and skills, the universe has a way of rewarding that effort. You become someone who can handle more responsibility, tackle bigger challenges, and create more value for the people around you. That kind of person attracts wealth, relationships, and opportunities effortlessly because they have something no money can buy: capability and credibility. It doesn't require extraordinary circumstances. It doesn't require luck. What it does require is a daily commitment to improvement. Every book you read, every conversation you engage in, every new skill you learn, every moment you spend reflecting and applying knowledge, it all compounds. And eventually, that compounding creates doors. Doors to roles, partnerships, opportunities, and experiences that the unprepared will never see. Even more importantly, personal growth builds resilience. Money can be lost, investments can fail, markets can crash. But if you are a person who grows continuously, no external circumstance can take away your abilities, your knowledge, or your mindset. That is a form of wealth that lasts forever. That is what opens doors when money alone cannot. And here's what most people don't understand. They think growth is slow, invisible, or not worth the effort. But growth has a quiet power. While others focus on instant results, you build an unshakable foundation that can carry you through challenges, setbacks, and failures. When opportunities finally arrive, you are ready, capable, and confident. That is the difference between someone who survives life and someone who dominates it. Think of your life as a series of doors. Some doors are labeled money, others are labeled opportunity, and many are labeled personal influence. Money alone will open the first, but it can't open the second or the third without growth. The more you grow, the more doors you can open, and the more rooms of possibility you can step into. Your life begins to expand in ways you could never imagine when growth becomes your priority. Growth also gives you choice. When you develop yourself, you don't need to accept mediocre opportunities. You gain the ability to choose what aligns with your values, your goals, and your vision. You gain the power to create rather than react, to lead rather than follow, to design your life rather than drift through it. Those are doors money could never unlock because they require capability, vision, and courage, qualities only growth can provide. In the end, prioritizing growth over money transforms your life completely. It rewires your thinking, your habits, and your relationships. It attracts the right people, the right situations, and the right resources into your life. Money is transient, but growth lasts forever. Money will give you options, but growth will give you influence. Money can pay for things, but growth will pay for opportunities. So focus on the person you are becoming more than the money you are earning. Build skills, expand knowledge, improve your mindset, and invest in your character. The doors that open from that commitment are the kind of doors that not only change your income, but transform your life completely. And once you start walking through those doors, you'll realize something powerful. You never had to chase money. Money started chasing you. Your growth becomes the engine that drives everything. Opportunities find you because you are capable. Challenges become stepping stones because you are prepared. Life starts to align with your vision because you are committed to being more, and that is why growth is always more powerful than money. The choice is yours. You can continue to focus on a paycheck, trading time for income, limiting your potential and doors. Or you can invest in your personal growth, day by day, skill by skill, habit by habit, until your life opens in ways that money could never create on its own. It all begins with the decision to work harder on yourself than on anything else. The moment you commit to that path, everything changes. You no longer wait for life to hand you chances. You become the kind of person who attracts them. You no longer measure your worth by income or title. You measure it by growth, skill, character, and contribution. You no longer settle for what is easy or comfortable. You pursue what makes you better every day. Take that decision now. Commit to being more. Commit to growing yourself in every way possible. The life you want, the freedom you crave, and the opportunities you deserve are waiting for you, but only if you choose yourself first. Every day you invest in yourself is a day you reclaim your potential, reshape your future, and step closer to the life that is meant for you. Your journey begins now. Choose growth. Choose yourself. Choose to be more than what your job or paycheck allows. Commit fully, pursue relentlessly, and your life will change in ways you never thought possible. Growth doesn't just improve your life, it transforms it completely. And once you embrace it, there is no limit to what you can achieve.